purpose of Martin Luther King Jr. I Have a Dream speech was to raise awareness about all of the problems in American society regarding civil rights and to point out the reason why racism and discrimination must be eradicated. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable my lecturer and all of my friend, I'm happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. 50 years ago, a great American in her symbolic of shadow, which stand today, signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentum did become a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. Well, but 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of Negro is still sadly crippled by the menaces of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro life on lonely island of poverty in the minds of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is still language in the corner of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. And so, we have come here today to dramatize a shameful condition. In a sense, we have come to our nation capital to cast a check. When the architect of our republic wrote the magnificent word of the Constitution of the Declaration of Independence, they were signing a promissory note to which every American was to follow her. They are men, yes, black men as well as white men will be guaranteed the inalienable right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today that America has developed and this promissory note. Insofar as her exclusion of color are concerned, instead of honoring the sacred obligation, America has given the Negro people a better check, a check which has come back marked insufficient fund, but we refuse to believe that the bank or justice is bankrupt. We refuse to believe that there are insufficient funds of the great value of opportunity in this nation. And so we have come to cancel the check, a check that will give us open demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice. We have also come to this hollow spot to remind Americans of the first urgency of now. This is no time to engage the luxury of cooling of or take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now is the time to make real the promise of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolated valley of segregation to the sunset path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksand of racial injustice to the solid rock or brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for our of-God children.
It will be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of the moment. This swirling summer of the Negro's legitimate discontent will not pass until there is an inspiration autumn of freedom and equality. 1916 there is not an end but a beginning. The truth who hoped then the Negro needed to blow off stream and will not be content will have a rude awakening if the nation returns to business as usual. And there will be neither rest nor tranquility in America until the Negro is grounded. This nascent right, the visit of reform will continue to shake the foundation of our nation until the break day of justice emergence. But there is something that I must say to my people who stand on worms their shoot will lead into the place of justice. In the progress of coining our rightful place, we must not be quietly of wrongful needs. Let us not seek to sever our sin for redeem, by drinking for the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must forever content our struggles on the high plane of dazzling and the steep line. We must not allow our creative protest the degeneration into physical violence. Again and again, we must rise to the majestic height of meeting physical for with soul forest the marvelous new militants with half equal first the new grow community must not lead us to different of all with white people. For many of our white brothers, as evidently by their progeny here today, have come to realize their destiny is tied up with our destiny, and they have come to realize that their freedom is inextricably bound to our freedom. We cannot walk alone, and as we walk, we must make the places that we shall always march ahead. We cannot turn back. There are two who are asking for the defense of civil rights. When will you be safety? We can never be safe as long the Negro is the victim of the unspeakable honors of the police brutality. We can never be satisfied as long as our bodies, heavy with the fugitives, the travel cannot again lodging in the motels of the highway and the north as the cities. We cannot be separated as along the Negro's basic mobility is from a smaller ghetto to a larger one. We can never be separated as long as our children are stripped of their self-house and robbed of the dignity by sickness device from waiters only. We cannot be separated as long a Negro in Mississippi cannot vote and a Negro in New York believed he was nothing for while to vote. No, we are nothing satisfied and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. I'm not unfathomable. The some of you have come here out the great chairs and tribunes. Some of you have come friends from narrow jail cells, and some of you have come from areas where you quest for freedom left you battered by the storm of obstacles and struggles by the mind of police brutality. You have been the veterans and creatively suffering. Continue to work with the sites that honorably suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi. Go back to Alabama. Go back to South Carolina. Go back to Georgia. Go back to Louisiana. Go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities. Knowing that somehow the situation will be changed, let us know below in the waters of the birds. I say to you today, my friends, and so even talk we face the difficult of today, and tomorrow I have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up in the light of the true meaning of this created. We hold this truth to be self-evident that all men were created equal.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the head of injustice, sweltering with the head of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis, freedom, and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious races, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with the little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low. The rough places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight. And the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope, and this is the faith that I go back to the south with. With this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, to pray together, to struggle together, to go jail together, to stand up for freedom together, knowing that we will be free one day. And will be the day. Will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with a meaning. My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. Of thee I sing, land where my fathers died, land of plagiarism pride, from every mountain side, let freedom ring. And if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. And so let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the heightening Alleghenies of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the carefree slopes of California. But not only that. Let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountains of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi. From every mountain side, let freedom ring. And when this happens, and when we allow freedom ring, men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual. Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty, we are free at last. I think that's all from us. Thank you so much for watching. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.